When were your first official talks with All Elite Wrestling, and who were they with?
Officially, I talked with before. Okay, so the day before the announcement that we got a release, Mark Carrano had called us and he said, "Look, I got some bad news for you guys. You know how we added on 2 months to Dash's contract because of his broken jaw?
They didn't do the thing for your injury, did they?
Well, you remember when we added 2 months onto Dash's contract for his broken jaw?
Right, we talked about last week. Right. Yeah, right.
He said, well, Dave, I'm sorry, we're going to have to add on 4 months to your contract for your torn bicep. And I said, Mark, you just told us, just a few weeks prior that you were not going to add on the time, that you would honor that. And, you gave us your word. He said, I'm sorry, that's Vince's call, not my call. And I said, well, who am I supposed to trust now? Like you promised me that we were going to be done here in July. I think it was July, May, June. So we would be done here in July and we can go and do our own thing. He said, yes, I know, but this, whatever. So now you understand why nobody trusts Mark Carrano. So he called us the day before they released, 2 days before they released the announcement, and he gave us an ultimatum. And the ultimatum we'll talk about on a later episode. And the ultimatum was obviously a lopsided ultimatum, all for them, nothing for us. We lost a shit ton of money, which we should have our good personal close friend Mike Dawkins on to talk about that, because he was right in the middle of it all.
Yes, sir.
But
yes, sir.
We lost a ton of money, especially at the time for me and my family. Lost a ton of money to a lopsided agreement for them. But as long as we could get out of our contracts, that's what we wanted. And so they let us out of our contracts immediately. The next day was the official contract being cut, and then the day after that is when they made the announcement. And so the day that Mark Carrano called us, so 2 days before the announcement was made online, is when I immediately, he called us. He said, "You guys don't have to give us an answer right now. Talk about it, and then give me a call back." So I called Cash. We talked. We said, "Well, should we talk to Cody or the Bucks or Tony?" He said, yeah, let's do that. So we sent the Bucks a text and said, "Hey, there's a possibility that we may be leaving WWE. Would you guys ever be interested in having us?" And he said, "Well, I would love to have you." And we said, "That's all we need to know." So we called Mark Carrano and said, "Yes, we agree to your terms. Please give us our release. And thank you." And he gave us our release. And right then is where we started talking contracts. As soon as the following day, whenever the contracts were cut and we got the paperwork from Mark Carrano, which I just saw the other day, which is crazy. I was going through my Gmail, but when we got the paperwork from Mark that said we were officially released, and we had no 90-day compete clause, that was our ask. Like, okay, if we give you all this and you take all this money from us, at least just let us not have the 90 days. Like, let us just, go out and do what we need to do immediately. And he said, "Okay, we can do that." So the very next day is when we started talking contracts with Tony Khan.
So you made those initial contract talks with Tony Khan. Was it hard to agree on money, or was money easy right away?
Well, to be honest, we expressed how excited we were to work with Tony, and he let Mega take care of the contract stuff, and we let Mike Dawkins take care of our contract stuff. It was very, 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 very easy. I don't think we asked for much, and I don't think that they asked for much out of us either. I think that it was a mutual agreement, and we all wanted to prove something with this signing. So we allowed Mike to take care of the contract stuff on our end, and Mega was taking care of the contract stuff on their end.
Man, it is so great that such a good friend of yours introduced you to such a great lawyer. It's really great that happened,
I text him. I text him today, actually, right before we started the podcast, and asked him about some things that would they be okay to talk about legally, which we may get into if you want to.
I was thinking about sending him the clip too, because it could be, I don't know anything about the law. Mike is a genius when it comes to that stuff, and he is a good friend of mine, and I love the guy.
Mike's exact words were, Mike, I hope you don't mind that I read this on the air, but his exact words were, talk away, nothing secret there, and it's all in the past. So let's fucking go.